Well, greetings, everyone, and thank you to what the incredible work that's happened in Chicago, Elaine. Very impressive. Looking forward to seeing the further research that is conducted there. Thank you to Restart and everyone who's been invited, everybody who's tuned in. Here we are, Denver Public Schools, representing proudly the Council of Great City Schools. I'm accompanied by Dr. Simone Wright, who's our Chief of Academics, and I am the proud superintendent of this incredible district. We are going to really tell a bit of a story on how we engage. We're both fairly newer, if you will, to this incredible city, but we came in as many others during right the height towards the height end of the pandemic. Going to the next slide, you'll see something that's anchored in how we engage each and every day. It is our what defines the DPS being Denver Public Schools experience. So that obviously constitutes what you see before you, the student experience at the core, the adult experience, which is often neglected in strategic plans. And of course, the system experience, everything that happens to ensure that our students have the opportunity to succeed. All those three little circles define the DPS experience. When I first arrived here, again, right towards the end of the pandemic, when students were coming back in person, we were still wearing masks for the most part. I engaged in a robust listening and learning tour. But this is not just your regular listening and learning tour. I made it a point to really go deep into our community and really get from those who have been historically marginalized and even those who felt invisible to society. I made it a point to make sure I captured not only the loudest voices, but of course, those who have been historically marginalized. I heard their needs, their hopes, their dreams, and the role that they feel the district needs to lead, right, to make those come to a reality. And that learning I did alongside the community informed a very thorough process, but ultimately it led to what you see before you, which is a strategic roadmap, which is the foundation of the DPS experience that I mentioned not too long ago. That roadmap is grounded in the perspective of our community. And I say it's a cheat code, right? So no one should be the owner. Dr. Wright is not the owner. Respectfully, our board is not the owner. I'm not the owner. All I did was put things together, the needs, wants, and desires of the community, regurgitated back. The community is the owner of this roadmap. Beginning with our students, our adults, our system experience to catalyze the district's growth. I heard repeatedly throughout my journey upon arrival the need to support our communities with wraparound supports. Obviously, we were coming from the pandemic, so that was top of mind, but also investing in our schools as a hub. Instead of it just being the place that we send our lovely kids, our loved ones to, and then we see them coming back, it needed to be way more than that, is what I was capturing as I was engaging with folks. Right. And that happens to connect very deeply with what I believe in. So it was like a perfect marriage. It's like maybe you could say I really was yearning to hear it, but it was so repeated that even if I wanted to ignore it, I could not. In a moment, Dr. Wright is going to speak to the academic and the learning priorities that evolve from this roadmap. But I want to speak to the cornerstone of the roadmap, and it's in bold there. It's our community hubs, hearing what I heard and also coming up with how to maximize space, but also to just eradicate the obstacles that exist outside of the school building. So bell to bell, we're masters at what we do. Everyone on this call, those who are listening, you know how to engage and just remove the obstacles that exist bell to bell. But we're going through this cyclical cycle in terms of where we go back. I'm thinking of my story. No, school was a safe haven, but it was an absolute blur and it was dangerous and treacherous outside of school, right? So how can I address that was what I was trying to do with this community hubs concept. And they truly serve as a conduit of re-engaging and supporting families, integrating them into our system. The hubs have uplifted families, providing access and tools so that families can be their best selves at home, as opposed to another burden that comes with being a parent or just engaging with society. So it first was to remove those barriers. You don't know what we're going to eat tonight? No, go to the hub and we'll figure it out. Turning into a learning experience instead of just the ingredients, here is a true bodega experience, but also here's the recipe. So now you and your child can bond. Then it evolved from just basic needs like food and clothing markets, workforce development, a pipeline directly to DPS, basic needs, financial assistance, social, emotional, mental health supports. Then it evolved into GED and ESL classes, and we welcomed well over 4,000 new to country students this past year. This was the absolute foundation and also a life span for these individuals. Without these community hubs as something that would not only was available, I don't know how they would have really been embraced by the city of Denver. So not only were they provided an opportunity to be productive members of our local society, they evolved to GED graduates, citizenship, early literacy classes were also offered, technology and computer support, parenting, and even financial literacy classes. So truly a beacon on how we were able to not only recover from the pandemic, but also the unexpected and well-welcomed new to country arrivals. I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Wright to speak to some of those aforementioned academic learning priorities that evolved from the roadmap, but I wanted to anchor everything that happened outside of the school building, and it's still to this day a foundational component of our scholarly lives, our parents, and even those who do not have students in our system are benefiting from these programs. I also put into the chat some links that you can see and follow after this, what the community hubs offer. Dr. Wright.
Thank you, Dr. Marrero. So next slide. One of the core ideas that also came out of our strategic roadmap is around accelerated trajectories. More explicitly, advancing the achievement and closing the disparities for our historically underserved and underestimated students. This led DPS to define the focus areas regarding the learning experience to be focused on grade level text and tasks and safe and welcoming. The research tells us that the more time with grade level content that is standards aligned, but also provides opportunities for students to pursue their interest, framed as pursuits of passion in the roadmap, are key drivers to students achieving. Similar to many districts, we offered a robust summer experience across grades K-5. We utilized numerous partners to support us with implementing high-impact tutoring. But I want to highlight the work we were able to do with Saturday School, providing 25 additional instructional days that were centrally funded. While this created opportunities for students to have more time engaging with grade level content with the appropriate scaffolds and supports, we also offered varied opportunities to cultivate student interests and passions. I would also offer that the revamp of Saturday School for the past few school years have really gotten leaders to buy into this additional day of school. A number of leaders right now are choosing to fund Saturday School on their own. Next slide. Interconnected to the expectations outlined in our strategic roadmap, specifically accelerated trajectories, and again, those anchors, safe and welcoming grade level text and tasks, implied was a necessity to refine or define how we approach Tier 1 instruction. Refinement required us to continue to engage educators, students, community members, including families, to understand their aspirations for the daily learning experience within our classrooms and understand what effective instructional practices were contributing to achievement across DPS already. The input of our educators, students, and other stakeholders affirm the priority to increase the quality of instruction for our students. To better support higher quality teaching and learning, we released our instructional framework this past spring, which clearly articulates our instructional vision and provides guidance to support educators across the system. The instructional core, as you can see in the middle of the diagram on the right, serves as the evidence base for the framework, elevating the need to ensure we place interesting and challenging content in front of our learners and ensuring teachers are well trained to ensure high levels of student engagement every single day. We identified 3 key drivers that are essential for achieving our standard of excellence for teaching and learning and operationalizing the instructional core, which is the graphic to the right. The intersection of content, teacher knowledge and skill, and student engagement is another way for us to think through our own continuous improvement cycle, grounded in effective teaching and learning. And none of this can be achieved without a strong culture and climate, which is why you see safe and welcoming as the outer circle. Interconnected to the engagement with our educators, we heard a strong desire for curricular coherence to strengthen the student experience. By focusing on high quality instructional materials, we are positioned to promote vertical and horizontal coherence across the district and scale highly effective pedagogical approaches that will ensure consistently high quality learning experiences for all students. When we pair that with assessment, we ensure teachers are able to have a consistent and precise gauge of each student's individual progress in their knowledge and skill development, ensuring that each individual learner receives instruction that centers their assets and advances achievement. We have to continue to engage in professional learning, ensuring continuous knowledge and skill building in service of meeting each individual student's need. It is worth naming that we have some great synergy in Denver Public Schools to advance the quality of instruction within our system.
Thank you so much. We have time for one question. So let me read it. One of the things that we've observed is that it is difficult to get students to participate in additional time or extra learning. And additionally, the students who may benefit the most are sometimes the least likely to be able to attend. I'm wondering whether this is an issue for Saturday school and whether you have strategies for increasing engagement and targeting students in need. It's a long question, so.
Yeah, no, I'll start, Dr. Wright, and if you want to add anything. Yeah, that goes back to trying to, if I can, just simplify by saying leveling the playing field, right? In terms of the realities of what exists, and we see it happening. When we opened up our after school, it is an absolute fury, and in a matter of moments I have my children, I was just a couple minutes late and they were out, meaning it's who has the savviness, also the skills, or really the access. So it's not as if we were board admission, we offered that, but then we extended those opportunities. So outside of the summer engagements, in case of a long break, and we opened up our schools, and those obstacles that exist is usually related to transportation. So we made it a point that before we even offer, that we have that there, and it's part of the presentation as well. So it's less about trying to remove access to some, because not only is that controversial, it's also wrong, but how can we get those that are often just either forgotten or they're just unaware or unable to navigate the complex systems that we put before them. And the community hubs also offer that as well, because now what that has alleviated a lot of the burden of being a parent, right? So now folks can be redirected in a very professional way. Say, okay, you don't have to worry about X, Y, Z. Are you aware that in a couple of days we're going to open up our portal for Summer Academy, and here's how you can engage? So it's been a struggle, but we're attempting to address it in the most sophisticated but also inclusive way.